If we are honest with ourselves, we can't just say what we have is our own. It's a gift from the Lord. Our theme this year is do not neglect to share what you have. Do not neglect to share those gifts. That's important for the building up of the church. We have received much, but there are many needs. We have 60+ programs that the DSF shares every year so that they can continue to work and to bring about beauty and a common good in the Archdiocese of Galveston-Houston. 50 years ago, the bishops of the United States petitioned Rome that they would like to see the permanent diaconate in the United States. And so the program began. And since that time, the permanent diaconate in Galveston-Houston has been growing.
We have 156 men in formation, being formed as one diaconate, called, blessed, and sent to serve the people of God. Even today, there's still misconceptions about who a deacon is, what a deacon does. There's a difference between transitional deacons and the permanent diaconate. Transitional deacons are those men on their path to being ordained to the priesthood. We are permanent deacons. This is our permanent state. Some of us are married, some of us are unmarried, but we are called to that threefold ministry of liturgy, word, and charity. We go into prisons, nursing homes, other centers where there is a need. We can serve at the altar, we can teach, but if we don't have charity, it's like a three-leg stool that's out of balance.
I felt the tug to serve, and I serve people in the medical field to help heal their body. And I hear God calling me to help heal their soul and to guide them back to Him.
I think all of us in the program have served in our parishes in one way or another. In my case, with special youth services, it breaks your heart to see these kids who walk into a courtroom in shackles at 14 years old. It's so hard to see, but at the same time, you see that they need somebody. They need to know that God is there with them.
We know that formation is very stressful. And if the man and his wife can journey together in the permanent diaconate process, it helps strengthen the family.
Every wife is part of something greater than herself. Her faith is expanded. Her ability to grow intellectually and theologically and spiritually is a gift in itself.
Your gift to DSF will help support men and their wives in formation. And it helps us achieve our mission to help form men to be the best deacons God has called them to be.
The city of Houston is the United Nations. We celebrate Mass every weekend in about 16 different languages. Part of what we do is help these communities to both adapt and grow here, but also not to lose the beauty of their ethnic traditions of the Catholic faith. You cannot help to be moved by the sensibility and the devotion of our African communities. The beauty of music and sound in our local church and the variety of expressions of Catholic faith in what our people sing is one of the beautiful, deep traits of what it means to be a member of the Archdiocese of Galveston-Houston.
We have a large community here of Black Catholics. On any given Sunday in the Archdiocese within the Black Apostolate, we may have Masses celebrated in about 4 different dialects. We have French, we have Swahili, of course we have English, and then we have Igbo. But when you come into an African American church, you're going to see music, you're going to see dance. That's what makes us come alive, if you will. That's part of what makes us Roman Catholic. Is part of what makes our rich culture. We've identified 16 parishes that we consider predominantly African American parishes. We live in the most diverse archdiocese in America, so we have a lot of needs, and my job is trying to make sure that those needs are being met to those individuals within the Black Apostolate. My focus is to make sure that our young people are receiving what they need to keep them within the church. You'd speak to most of our young Catholics, they tell you that they're leaving because they're not being fed the word. So my focus is to tell them and show them the beauty and grace of the Eucharist. Yes, the word is important, But what separates us from everyone else is the Eucharist and the real presence of Jesus Christ. And I think that's what we have to teach our young people, to keep them within the pews in our churches. We live in a very blessed archdiocese that is very generous. And just call to mind those individuals who you're going to be touching. You may not see them, you might not know them, but you know that your gift is going to be playing a part in that young person's life, that young adult's life who may be struggling, and then also that senior who's given so much to the church, and now we can give back to that individual, that senior who needs that help.
I always love talking about the pro-life office, and the DSF program every year helps to support our pro-life office. Because of your support and efforts, we've been able to introduce a newer program through the pro-life office, Jerome's Hope. That program deals with couples facing great difficulties in prenatal diagnosis or a neonatal difficult situation. Is anything more critical? Can anything be more devastating? Families, couples need accompaniment to show that you're not alone.
The need for Jerome's Hope in our archdiocese is very important. We lost our son 10 years ago, and I know for me personally, I long to have somebody to talk to. I didn't know where to turn. I did find a couple of online resources. The parents had gone on and shared their story. And I remember I would sit at the computer for hours and read those stories and read what they went through. But it definitely isn't the same as actually sitting down and talking to somebody.
When you find out that your son or daughter might not live very long, it's like a kick in the gut. Touching someone and showing them, hey, God still loves you, and God had a plan. Just like he had a plan for our David. Our little David touched so many people in the little time that he was here, but we saw that plan.
I recently was able to meet with a couple who had had a miscarriage. We sat down and just let them talk. They shared their heart, I shared my story, and they were both struggling.
So many couples, they go years and years without really getting any help, and they grieve all that time, and it just weighs on them. And it's surprising just how many people in the archdiocese are affected. And for an archdiocese of the size of Houston and Galveston, Jerome's Hope is greatly needed because there's so many people out there hurting right now.
I've been able to speak in this video about a number of programs that we deal with in this archdiocese through the DSF, but I think this year I would be remiss if I just couldn't add briefly something about our Catholic Charities and the way they have helped accompany people in case management as a result of Hurricane Harvey. Catholic Charities, even today, is working with people who were affected to recover and revitalize themselves after Hurricane Harvey. Sisters and brothers, do not neglect to share what you have. This year's DSF is as significant as any other year in the programs and activities that are being highlighted. Share your gifts. Thank you.